we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how you say that? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, football fans all across the world? It is the Air It Out Podcast. I am your host, Avery Collins, joined with a full panel. Let's welcome back some people who were missing last week. Coach Braxton, a.k.a. 350, a.k.a. Big Plus. What's up? Say what's up to people.
So hashtag 350 came alive, and it's going to keep coming alive.
This is true.
Now, MVP.
Okay, all right. You heard it here first, people. Hashtag 350 has in fact happened. It has in fact happened. Over 400 yards for Mr. Lamar Jackson. Shout out to him. Darius Riddick, a.k.a. Stidham Season, a.k.a. Mr. Patriot, is in the building. Say what up.
Hey man, at this point, it's a rebuilding stage. But I want to say one thing about Lamar. He did that and he got the win. Let's not like you throw for that many yards and you get the win. You come behind. Truly amazing. Lamar's playing phenomenal. We're getting some great football games, and tonight we got another underrated but yet good game. So I'm excited.
Can't wait for it. And last but not least, the one and the only. The man with all the moves, including the Wonton Bomb. Yeah, I'm saying Mr. Juan is in the building. Say what up to the people. Juan, before you say anything about football, your Bucks opening night win against who many people has the favorite to win the championship against the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, how do you think you guys look?
I just want to say to all the doubters out there, to all the small market haters that are currently in this call, whoever you are, you know who you are. I just want to say, you still think Brooklyn's gonna make it to the finals? You really think so?
Ooh.
Just say.
Hey, mama.
I will say this though. I saw this on ESPN that Stephen A. giving Giannis the credit giving credit where credit is due. Talking about the immigrant mentality, and it's still colored. I've just got it pulled back, Jerome. Yeah, like he's talking about the immigrant mentality. It's a real thing, my guys. It is a real friggin' thing. I live by it. It's why I am where I am today. It's just what we got to go through, man. And that's why I respect Giannis so much so that he literally made the Bucks my favorite team.
Listen, I'm not mad at it at all. He, as well as yourself, have gotten it out the mud, as they say. No handouts. You worked for everything you got. So shout out to you and shout out to the Bucks for that win. But this is the Air It Out Football Podcast where we talk about everything football. And we had a phenomenal week of games last week. Oh, it was so good. So good. But today is Thursday Night Football. But ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, it's also a holiday. Oh, shout out to Jerome as well, the behind-the-scenes warrior, yes. Shout out to the CEO, Jerome Jones, a.k.a. Please Don't Sing on the Podcast No More, a.k.a. Devontae Smith, a.k.a. You Could Have Had DK Metcalf. All right, so please leave us your comments. We would love to interact with you guys. But anyway, and I'm just poking fun. Like I said, today is Thursday Night Football, but it's also a holiday. It's also a holiday. Anybody know what holiday it is today?
Can I do it in a voice? Wait. Oh.
Favorite National Tight End Day. Let's go.
National Tight End Day. It is National Tight End Day today, people. And with that being said, we're going to jump into our first. Sorry, Jerome. I just had to, throw a little shade there. We're gonna
also, just want to ask the Sixers fans and whoever's watching right now,
Uh-oh.
What the hell are you guys gonna do with Ben Simmons?
Listen, we're going to listen. We're not going to touch it.
I'm getting tired of the news feed
Philly
here,
fans down
he
bad
just
right
walks
now.
out of
We're
practice
not.
like
We're
that.
not going to go there today. Maybe next week. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we know that there's some turmoil there, but it's National Tight End Day. We're not going to let that guy take up this podcast. Not today. We'll get to you, Darius. We'll get.
I just have one quick question. And for Philly fans, who's the most hated, Wentz or Simmons?
Oh my
Ooh,
God!
yikes.
Or did I start something?
I mean,
I think
you
we
might
should
have-
go.
you can make the argument that Wentz is getting
I think
Philly
you might
a
have put some
first round
salt
pick.
on that thing.
So
Go ahead. Throw a little salt on that. I got to throw a little salt in the
Little
wound.
salt on it, man.
Darius,
I think
you
they
gotta
hate.
admit,
Honestly,
Simmons.
I think they hate Howie the most. Anyway, it's National Tight End Day. It's National Tight End Day.
Simmons,
And let's get into our first topic, which is it's National Tight End Day. We got to do some rankings. Let's rank the top tight ends in the league right now. I mean, I'm going to let you guys decide. Y'all want to do top 5 or top 10? Top 10 is a stretch for you. You might have, okay, we'll do 5. I was going to say, we'll do 5. I don't know if you guys are that ingrained into the sport to know 10 tight ends. I'm joking. I'm kidding. These are all experts here. All right. Oh, my goodness. Ben Simmons is getting slandered in the chat if you're not paying attention.
Hashtag slander Ben.
he deserves it. He really
I think it's
deserves
hilarious.
There you go.
I think it's hilarious. But
Slander
hey,
Ben.
listen, Heat Nation. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to start with Juan. Give me your top 5 tight ends in the league right now.
I'll work backwards here.
All right.
Go from 5 to 1, and I'll try to keep it as quick as possible. At 5, he hasn't played in 2 weeks, but I still think he is one of the better tight ends in this league. George Kittle on IR right now because of a calf injury. Nonetheless, the impact that George Kittle has on the 49ers offense is significant. Right now, the 49ers offense is a bottom 5 passing team. Surprising given how they do have decent weapons with Deebo Samuel in the lineup. But George Kittle was always the main pass catcher for that squad, especially because he was such a safety blanket for Jimmy Garoppolo. Could have been for Trey Lance too. Not to mention, he's a hell of a blocker. And he gets that run game started. And since you don't have that top end tight end to help block on the edge, you can run your zone runs with Kyle Shanahan. It's sad. So here's hoping that Kittle comes back next week. At number 4, he's in Detroit. He's big-bodied, former Hawkeye, Mr. TJ Hawkinson, man, a budding young tight end from the 2019 class, who I am just so happy to see progress, man. He is unfortunately in a very, mediocre situation where the Lions are right now, but the future is looking bright. He's basically the next bright star that city might just waste going forward. He's big-bodied. He can wrestle in one-on-one situations, and the best game I saw for him was week 2 in Green Bay when he was wrestling that touchdown out of the hands of the DB near the back of the end zone. Really good catch. Number 3 is one of your guys, Darren, Mr. Mark Andrews. Very underrated tight end, I have to say. And that's weird to say because Mark Andrews has always been a good, consistent tight end for the Ravens in the 3 years that he's been there. But he is severely underrated. Severely. So much so, I think he is a top 3 tight end in this league. Let me put it this way. Mark Andrews is tied with Travis Kelsey in receiving yards this year. Only has 1 less touchdown than him, but accumulated all that in 4 fewer catches. Do not sleep on Mark Andrews. Number 2, I'm giving it to Darren Waller. Athletic, a wide receiver in a tight end's body, great hands, is an underrated blocker along that Raiders offensive line, but he's not utilized enough as a blocker. I've seen his blocking abilities. He can push the ball downfield if given the chance. And one-on-one situations outside of a really good safety, there's no one to square up with. And then number 1, of course, is Travis Kelsey. I don't really need to explain how this man is basically one of the best tight ends we've ever seen taking place here. He took the mantle from Gronk very well. And look, Dawson Knox, he's got to give me more, Jerome's. I love him. I remember I did a video about him when we did the Throwback Thursday videos, but he's got to show me more. He's probably like a top 10 tight end, Dawson Knox is. But yeah, Kelsey's number 1.
All right. I'm not mad at the list. It's pretty solid, and I like your reasoning and your formatting, your argument there. So next, we're gonna go in order. Darius, talk to me. Who are your top 5 tight ends?
So I was very conflicted on who was number one, and the reason why is because this guy had a breakout game, prime time. I think we kind of know who I'm talking about. I think number one so far this season has to be Mark Andrews. And Juan, you alluded with the stats, right? He's got to be number one. The guy has simply just been. Travis Kelsey has been consistent, but Mark Andrews has been consistent as well. And I love his style of play. Like, he gets open, he finds the ball. He's Lamar Jackson's like security blanket. It reminds me kind of Tom Brady with Rob Gronkowski or Wes Walker. That security blanket. 3rd down and 3, Mark Andrews is going to get the ball on a goal line. Mark Andrews is going to be in the end zone. And what he did when Lamar Jackson had that career game was just phenomenal. So for me, that game really helped him take me to number one. Number 2, Travis Kelsey. Travis Kelsey, he's been top three or the number one tight end for the last 2-3 years now, and it's always going to be he's always going to be either 1 or 2, I think, and he's having another phenomenal season. Number 3, Darren Waller. One, like you said, this guy, wide receiver and a tight end body, he can do it all. And I think when we look at tight ends, it's not just what you can do in the passing game, but what you can do in the blocking game as well. And that's what really makes you a complete tight end. Like, yes, you can get open. Yes, you can do this. And you can be a mismatch for linebackers and safeties. But what can you do in the blocking game? And I think he's really starting to improve that, especially because the Raiders do like to run the ball. Number 4, a little bit of bias, but I think Rob Gronkowski. I think he's having – you look at what he did kind of in the playoffs and then a little bit into the season before the injury – he started to show that old Rob Gronkowski. He is 32 years old, but he's still showing that, hey, I am one of the top tight ends in the game. I still can get open. I still can block. And Rob Gronkowski always was a phenomenal run blocker. Like, he always is going to push the linebacker. He's always a mismatch. You really don't know how to guard him. And then number 5, a surprise, Mike Gesicki. I think he's having a really, really solid season. And I think because he's in Miami with the situation with possibly Deshaun Watson going there, the Tua and the injuries, he's being overlooked, but he has to be in the conversation as one of the best tight ends because what he's been doing, especially this season, but just the last few seasons. So those are my 5 guys.
The only thing I'd say is that I can get on board with what you're saying about Gesicki, but he hasn't exactly made that jump yet for me. At least, he's been a consistent weapon, but not enough for I feel like he's an X factor on this Miami offense just yet.
I can dig it. Listen, it's not a bad list. I actually like the fact that you shook it up a little bit there. It's a couple surprises.
Gotta shake it up, man.
Hey, listen,
a little bit.
little, you know what I mean? Little spice.
Little spice. Hashtag little spice.
You know what I'm saying? All right. Hashtag Lil Spice. If you ever become a rapper, that has to be your name. Darren, give me your top 5 tight ends.
All right, so I'll start from the bottom up, and actually, a couple of my honorable mention guys were already said your guys' top 5. Mike Gesicki, who's single-handedly, that's what I'm talking about, saving my fantasy season. Listen, let's go, Mike. And TJ Hawkinson, love him in Detroit. He's second on the team in receiving in yards. The man is an absolute beast getting wasted away. But we're going to go on to number 5. Number 5 for me is, as we already know, literally wide receiver, tight end body, Darren Waller. He's only there because of the simple fact he did fall off for 1 or 2 weeks when guys were really starting to guard him. He had that really good day against the Baltimore Ravens, very opening day, but his production has dipped just a little bit. He's still one of the top tight ends, but for this year, and that's my list really going on, and that's why it's going to look the way it does, it's all about just this season. Nothing in the past. Number 4, Noah Fant. I love the way this kid is coming on, and I'll explain why. When going down the seam, either by Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, his catch rate is at 96.4%. You explain to me what's better than that. Going down the seam, and not only that, having 278 273 yards, and 3 touchdowns already. Now, he does need to do it a little bit more on the receiving end, getting more open, still have to develop. But the athleticism, you see it there. It was there all the time at Iowa, and he's finally coming into his own this year. Feel like he's really going to break out and continue on from here. And another guy that started to break out, my number 3 guy, Dawson Knox. His place is here only for one reason and one reason only. This man scored touchdowns. He only has 21 receptions on the year, but he has 5 touchdowns. Basically, 4 to 5 receptions is another touchdown for this man. And he does his damage being the 4th or 5th almost option sometimes in that Bills loaded attack. So you got to understand, he's making the most of what he's getting, and he's getting a bunch out of it. Number 2 for me, Travis Kelsey. We already know what's going on with him. It is what it is. Yes, he might be still the top tight end, but just for this year, I had to go with Darius. You can turn it off to Rome. Mark Andrews is the number 1 tight end right now this season. I'm just calling it. I love the bottom ones right here. Honorable mention with Chris, but Mark Andrews this season has become the one guy. No matter where he's at, whether it's a short pass, long pass, you know what he can do, and he gets open. Especially in the scene, especially going against the zones. It does not matter how you want to match up with him this year. He is doing well, and his blocking has improved so much. Love it. It can be mind-numbing, I know, but Mark Andrews, number 1 tight end right now.
Isn't it funny how, like, the top 5 to 7 tight ends, 2 of them are former Inside the Hashes interviewees? Check it out.
That's facts. That is facts. Go check out those interviews. Go check them out. www.insidethehashes.com.
For clarity, it's Dawson Knox and Noah Fant.
Now, before I give my top 5, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite tight ends all time on National Tight End Day. No, it's not Tony Gonzalez. No, it's not the guy from the Chargers, Antonio Gates. Dallas Clark, I want to give a huge shout out to Dallas Clark on National Tight End Day. He's one of my favorites ever. And he was one of the best to ever do it. He didn't wear gloves. He made one-handed catches. He was a great block. He could run routes. He'd run you over. Dallas Clark was every man's tight end. Like,
that 44 is dangerous,
that
man.
Guy, phenomenal, and he made an impact no matter where he went. So shout out to Dallas Clark. Honorable mentions: Kyle Pitts, T.J. Hawkinson, and Noah Fant. I guess you could throw Mike Gesicki in there if you want, but I'm on the same wave as Juan. I got to see a little bit more first. And I'll give some credit as well to Dawson Knox as well. I want to give an honorable mention to him too, but got to see a little bit more. My top 5, starting at 5, I'm going to go with. I'm going to agree. I'm going to go with George Kittle at 5, only because he hasn't been healthy all year. That's the only reason. Obviously, if he wasn't, he'd be higher. Let's just keep it at that. Number 4, I'm going to go with Darren Waller for the same reasons as Darius, having him lower and not in his top 2. The reason is he's not complete as a blocker. I'm not saying that he can't block, but that is a weak point for him, especially compared to the other tight ends that I have above him. So for me, at number 4, Darren Waller, we know if you line him up one-on-one, you're literally saying, yeah, we decided to lose today because he's that good. Like if you line him up outside, inside, one-on-one, he's going to win that matchup. Like there's maybe 2 people in the league that can really rock with him. So number 3, Robert Gronkowski has proven that age is just a number. He has really been balling this year. To Darius's point, he showed signs last year, comes into this year outside of, last week him being injured and everything like that with the ribs. I mean, he's just literally been a game changer. He's literally been that guy that we saw before. You get in the red zone, and now you've got Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski that you got to deal with. And then my Antonio Brown. When they're healthy, they are scary. Number 2 for me is going to be Mark Andrews. And I'll explain why he's number 2 while giving my number 1 to Travis Kelsey. The reason Travis Kelsey is over Mark Andrews is one reason and one reason only. He's in a passing offense. You know they're going to pass the ball. You know he's getting it, and he still puts the numbers up. Conversely, Mark Andrews is in a running offense. That sets up for play action, which sets up openings in the middle of the field, which sets up openings on the scene because now you're bringing safeties down and different things like that. He gets better matchups in that regard to be able to put up those numbers. He's a better blocker than Travis is, but Travis is a much better receiver than he is. And because he's doing it in a situation where, 1, his team doesn't look as good. 2, the offensive line is
injured, Jerome.
It's just,
and also he was a QB.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to say it's still currently the tight end king of the last 5 years. Travis Kelsey is it Kelsey, guys? I don't know. We don't know. He threw us all off that day on Instagram.
Nope, his name is Kelsey. Sure. It is what it is.
Kelsey.
Listen, with that being said, I love those lists. Good stuff. Not mad at it. I think Kyle Pitts by the end of the season ends up in that conversation, but that's just me. Juan, last thoughts.
We're on National Tight End Day, and it just so happens that in one of my fantasy teams, I got a trade offer. They would send me Noah Fant. I would send them Noah Fant. In exchange, I get Dawson Knox and Odell Beckham Jr.
That's a tough call. I mean,
green light.
Tough. It's tough because both of those quarterbacks like throwing the tight ends. I think I probably would make the trade because let's say the Browns get healthy toward the end of the year and Odell starts being Odell. I mean, that's
do it, Juan. Do it. Pull the trigger.
It's just me we're seeing. Listen,
pull the trigger.
Cortland Sutton, all those guys. When Jerry Jeudy gets back, that might take away some targets from Noah Fant. I think for me, I personally would probably make that trade. That's just me. But that's just me. I mean, it depends on how long Dawson Knox is out as well. So, with that being said, talking about Dawson Knox being out, we're going to move into our next topic. A lot of good players are on IR right now, and it's not good. If you're not sure what IR means, IR stands for Injured Reserve List. This is what the NFL has instituted for those players for the teams for not wanting to put players out for the year and not wanting to constantly have to report them on an injured report list. You can put them on IR. IR immediately says you're out for at least 3 weeks, a minimum of 3 weeks. So with that being said, there are so many names on this list. One big name just came back off, Jarvis Landry, so that's phenomenal. But you got guys like Christian McCaffrey on that list. I mean, at this point, you should put Nick Chubb on that list. You should put Saquon Barkley on that list, and you should put Kareem Hunt on that list. I mean, those injuries that those guys have are pretty serious, pretty severe. So my question to you guys: what's the biggest name and who's the biggest impact player do you guys believe is on IR right now? I think we probably are all going to come to a consensus here as to who it is, but let's see what you guys got. Darren, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, lovely. So I had a couple guys.
Sorry, Jerome. Jerome, we send our condolences, sir.
So I got a couple guys. I'm gonna have to throw a couple Ravens in there with J.K. Dobbins and Marcus Peters, two of the better people of their position in the league.
Are they on injured reserve or are they out for the season? There's a difference.
Oh, we talking full injured reserve, but we also talking about guys like Laramie Tunsil, left tackle for the Texans, who $22 million man right there, and first round pick Travis Etienne before he even gets to start his rookie season. That's a big loss right there. But I'm pretty sure all my guys in here are going to agree. None of these names matter more than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is not playing and starting. We have Geno Smith starting for the Seattle Seahawks right now. That sounds so weird to say. Like, it's just ridiculous to understand how much that man means to that city, how much he means for that team, what that offense looks like without him. It's not the same. He's the biggest name, clearly the biggest impact. he's everything for that Seattle organization. So
I like it. I'm not mad at it at all. I'm not mad at it at all. Darius, talk to me. Who's the biggest name for you on the injured reserve list?
I agree with Darren. I think, and like you said, we all agree it's going to be Russell. And my reason is a little bit different. I think if Geno Smith wins that game against the Rams and completes that game-winning drive, then you start to make an argument, okay, maybe it's somebody else because he can actually lead a team, right? And, Pete Carroll and that offense, they're going to try to make a game plan around him. But him throwing that late game interception kind of killed the momentum. You win that game against a division rival at home. You build up some momentum going into your next week without your star quarterback. But the fact that they lost and the offense started to struggle, struggled the following week, it's calm as day. Like, it's Russell Wilson. He means so much to that. Literally, Seattle is built around him. Like, everything that they do is literally built around Russell Wilson, especially because your defense isn't a top 5, top 10 defense where, okay, you can put a backup quarterback in and know that your defense is going to carry you. Kind of like Pittsburgh, right? Like, Pittsburgh, when Big Ben was hurt, they had a top 5 defense, so they were competitive in every game because of their defense. Seattle defense isn't that good, so they're going to be in games where they're playing from behind. They can't run the ball, and Geno Smith is going to throw the ball 25, 30, and maybe even 40 times. And you're going to see a lot of mistakes just because he hasn't been the starter in so long. So I think it's Russell, but we got some other names on there: Jair Alexander, Christian McCaffrey. He's got to be the next guy under, just because the Panthers' offense is so dynamic with just him in it, and it gives Sam Darnold that versatility, a guy who could run the ball and just catch the ball out of the backfield. But come on, guys, Russell. If the answer's not Russell, then we gotta turn the ball.
All right. Well, Juan's got the eyebrows going, so
he's gonna be somebody different.
I'm gonna let the eyebrows speak for themselves. Juan, talk to me.
I like my eyebrows. I have 2 of them, and they're both on the same team. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. All right, the Browns' offense predicated off of the rushing combo that is Hunt to Chubb. All right, let me pull out these stats for you real quick. Nick Chubb attributed for nearly half of the rushing yards of the entire team, 523 rushing yards on 90 carries and 4 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, 361 on 69 carries and 5 touchdowns. They account for 9 total rushing touchdowns out of the possible 10 for the Cleveland Browns. The rest of the team rushing is 127.
They literally account for over 85% of the rushing attack.
Yes,
that's insane.
So you take out both of your top 2 rushers. Not to mention Baker is ruled
which
out.
is supposed to be that way. Let's keep it all the way 100%.
And that's what Baker ruled out of tonight's game against the Denver Broncos, and the entire Browns team is going through injury upon injury upon injury.
They got to fire their medical team.
They got to fire who? They got to fire. They got to fire the Cleveland Hospital, because I don't think anyone's going to be able to handle these many injuries. Honorable mention, though, I'll give it to the other Chubb, Mr. Bradley Chubb, of the Denver Broncos on the other side. Mainly because the Broncos defense, the pass rush isn't there anymore. All right, you can still say that Von Miller still has a good sense in pass rushing. He attributes 4.5 sacks for this team, but the rest of them, no one has more than 2. All right, and if you don't have that much pressure on the other side of the line without Chubb there, the secondary can't defend, which means extra time in coverage, extra time for receivers to get open. It doesn't work. The pass rush that everyone thought the Broncos were going to have this year just simply isn't there.
And I didn't jinx them.
All right, listen. Juan hitting us with a twofer there, throwing the curveball. I thought it was going to be a general consensus here, but I guess not. So some honorable mentions. I'll give 2 honorable mentions, and I'll give my number 1 honorable mention. Number 1, Michael Thomas. I honestly believe that if Michael Thomas was in the offense for the Saints, they probably would have at least one more win. I honestly and truly believe that he is a difference maker in that offense for New Orleans. And I think he's an added weapon for Jameis Winston. Nobody has really emerged as the number 1 guy or the number 1 target for him. And I think Michael Thomas would have created that stability. And so for me, I honestly, and I'm not a huge Michael Thomas fan, but I will give the nod there as an honorable mention that I think that he, being in that lineup, could potentially have changed at least one, maybe even two of those games that we've seen the Saints lose this year. Now, number two, newsflash, ladies and gentlemen. All right, number two, I'm going to say Christian McCaffrey. The reasons are because obviously, without Christian McCaffrey, it changes the entire offense. Like I think everybody and their mom knows that it's not the same when he's on the field as opposed to when he's not. However, Chubb Hub is nice. He's not a bad servicing back, and he is getting the job done. He's averaging over 70 yards a carry with Christian McCaffrey, 70 yards per game with Christian McCaffrey being out. So I can't just take anything away from him and saying that he's not doing anything. He's not doing Christian McCaffrey things. But again, Christian McCaffrey is a separate breed of running back. That's why he's number one, and Chubb is number two. Now, number one, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson accounts for over 90% of the touchdowns on that team. I did not know this. 90% of the touchdowns on this football team are attributed to the quarterback. Russell Wilson has proven that he is literally the most valuable person in Seattle on that team. There's nobody else who is as significant as Russell Wilson. His offensive line is horrible. He still puts up numbers. He's got a running game. He still puts up numbers. He's got a bad defense. He still puts up numbers. He's got a good defense. He puts up numbers. Russell does everything. And the thing I love the most that Russell does is the grace. He does it with so much grace and so much poise and so much just like he never has a down moment. You never see him upset. You never see him get too low. You never see him get too high. He's so even keeled, and he's such a professional. So shout out to Russell Wilson. I think that obviously, is a huge blow for their team. But to give Seattle fans a little bit of hope, after Russell had his cast taken off, which was 2 days after the surgery, he was expected to only be able to bend his finger about 30%. He bent it 50. That's a warrior right there. That's all I want to say. Shout out to him. And with that being said,
you're so corny, dude. I'm sorry, I had to use that.
I mean, it's cool. This man from been fortunate to act like it wasn't nothing and wanted to come back in the game. Exactly. That's exactly what happened to me when I, broke my finger. I don't know if you guys can tell. Still a little crooked there, but whatever. We warriors. That's what we do. It's broken 3 places, comminuted fracture, or whatever they call it. Anyway, with that being said, we're gonna jump into the Air It Out game picks. It's about to go down for those who have not been paying attention. Cry Avery River. Yes, please. My finger, it hurts. It's broken, guys. It's broken. It's a broken. All right, so if you have not heard, we are tallying totals for our game picks every single week on the Air It Out podcast. First time we're doing it this season. Let's just say it's been a roller coaster, okay, with these game picks. All right, so last week Darren and Darius were not on, so they had the choice between Juan's overall record or my overall record. Because I didn't want to be biased and I didn't want to leave it at the Juan, we left it up to the neutral party in this situation, which was Mr. Jerome Jones himself, the CEO. And he decided to give them my record, which was worse than Juan's. I went 9-5 this week, where Juan went an astounding 12-2. 12-2, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Listen, I think Juan has some type of crystal ball or prophetic powers or something. But Juan is on fire right now. 12-2 last week. I went 9-5. So it brings our totals to as follows. Darius still in last place, 53-42. Followed by Darren at 57-38. Myself at 59-36. And Juan killing all of us at 62 132. 30 games over 500. Juan is on fire. And with that being said, Juan, I'm going to give you the number one. I'm going to let you start here. Actually, you know what? No. I'm going to Darius. I'm going to go with Darius. Since he's in last place, we're gonna lift his spirits up and bring him in first.
I just want to say
first.
before you do, all of y'all doubted me when I picked Jacksonville to win in London. All right, y'all doubted me.
Don't say y'all.
Huh?
I said don't say y'all.
This is true. This is
All
true.
of you,
Last week I definitely doubted. I definitely doubted, and I am sorry and sore that I did. All right, Darius, give us your game picks. You get to explain one.
All right, so tonight's game, Broncos, Browns, everything with the Browns. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I think the Broncos kind of rebound from last week. A little bit smack in the face. They rebound and get a well-deserved win. Pats, Jets, come on, man. Like, really? Patriots. Packers and Washington. I'm taking the Packers. I think that's going to be a really good game. I know Washington defense is still a little bit questionable, but they still are going to compete against Green Bay. So I got the Titans. Falcons. I'm take the Falcons. I'm really going to take the Falcons. I think the Falcons are going to – you guys are coming off a bye week. Got extra rest. Got some players possibly coming back from injury. That's always good when you have the early bye week and you got some players possibly coming back. I think the Falcons beat the Dolphins, man. I think they kind of just go in there and smack Miami in the mouth with everything that's going on with the Deshaun Watson thing. Panthers, Giants, same thing. I think the Panthers rebound. Giants still got a lot of question marks on that team. Bengals, Ravens. This is my game that I'm going to explain. And this is going to be a very, very good game. And I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. Obviously, everybody thinks the Ravens probably going to go out there and Lamar Jackson, he threw for 400, almost 500 yards, and he's possibly going to do the same thing or they're going to run the ball. Don't sleep on that Bengals defense. And don't sleep on Joe Burrow. And we're going to have a very good matchup with Jamar Chase and Marlon Humphrey if Marlon Humphrey shadows him. That's why I think it's going to be a good game. That's going to be a very good matchup. Jamar Chase gets to go against one of the young top corners. And it's really going to be kind of a proving game to him if he can really go up against the top guys. And I really want to see Marlon Humphrey because Marlon Humphrey had a really good game last week. Like, he had a really good game against those Chargers wide receivers who are supposed to be the best in the NFL. So I think that's going to be a good game. But I'm going to give it to the Ravens. I think the Ravens are one of the best teams in the AFC, if not the best team in the AFC. Eagles, Raiders, come on, man. The Raiders. Eagles just got too much going on right now. I think the Raiders win. Lions, Rams. Really? Rams by 20. Rams are going to find a way to make this game closer than it needs to be, but I still think the Rams are going to win that game. Texans, Cardinals. I think the Cardinals go 7-0. Bears, Buccaneers. I got the Buccaneers. Colts, 49ers. I'm picking the Colts with the upside. I think the Colts are going to go in San Fran and beat the 49ers. Carson Wentz is looking really good so far. The running game is working. That defense is starting to really gel things together. I think the Colts make it really rough for either Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. And we still don't have no George Kittle, and the 49ers are still a little bit questionable on the defensive side of the ball. So those are my picks.
Okay. Not mad at it. Not too many upsets, but I like the ones that you picked. It's pretty solid there. All right, Juan, talk to me, man. Game picks.
Man, wow.
Well, Jerome, you're not lying there.
These are a little intense.
Run the ball, Philly. That's all you have to
First
do.
thing I want to do is I'm just going to give my jersey pick for tonight, and that's going to be Denver Broncos. I'm taking Denver to win tonight against
Smart choice.
The Cleveland Browns. Then Washington, Green Bay. You know where I am. You know where I stand. You know what I'm doing. I'm taking Green Bay first. Kansas City against Tennessee. I'm taking KC. Atlanta against Miami. I'm going to take Atlanta. New England against the Jets. I'm taking the Jets. Carolina against New York. I am taking Carolina. Baltimore against Cincinnati. I'll take Cincinnati. Philadelphia against Las Vegas. I'll take Las Vegas. Detroit versus Los Angeles. I'm going to use my explainer card or chip or whatever the hell this thing is on that game in just a minute. Then Houston, Arizona. Chicago, Tampa Bay. Indianapolis versus San Francisco. really underrated game to pick here. I'm gonna take Indianapolis on this one, and then New Orleans against Seattle.
Got that game.
Give me Nolan. I will take Nolan. Now,
Wait,
with
wait,
regards
wait,
to
one second. Before you get to your last explanation, Darius, give us.
I forgot that game. Saints and Seahawks. I'm going Saints. Come on. No Russ. So
thank you.
So with regards to Detroit versus the Los Angeles Rams, look, I know it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be Los Angeles hitting probably a 40 burger against this Detroit Lions defense. However, I will say this: for Matthew Stafford to come home, the first year he's been gone, to play against the team, the city that he has represented and done his best to elevate from the levels of mediocrity and despair. It's waxing poetic if I've ever seen it. Matthew Stafford has honestly risen to be a dark horse MVP candidate. He's not going to win it, obviously, but he's risen to be. The man did everything for that city. He did it for his community. He was one of the more generous quarterbacks I ever saw in terms of community involvement. He really knew how to bring a sense of humbleness and generosity to the people of Detroit. And now he's coming back to shatter their dreams. And I just think that is the purest piece of irony I've ever seen.
I'm not mad at that at all. Shout out to Matthew Stafford. Going back to Detroit, that is going to be, I think Matthew Stafford cries. I think he is going to cry, and it's going to be a big cry, too. I think it's one of those snot bubble cries. But we will see. Darren, give us your game picks and your one explanation.
Broncos over the Browns. Obviously, Ravens over Cincy. I don't know why anyone would pick otherwise, but okay. We're going to move on here. I'm going to try it. Packers over the Washington team. The defense right now, they're just not there. The D-line is still pretty good, but it's a little shaky everywhere else right now.
Update, Odell Beckham has been activated for tonight's game. So fantasy owners got some breaking news there. If you have Odell Beckham, you might want to get him in the lineup tonight.
Also, just to say,
it's real dangerous.
I declined that trade.
So,
all right.
Fins versus the Falcons. I like Tua, man. And I like what Jalen Waddle is doing down there with them. I feel like they might get a good win here against you guys. I'm sorry, Avery. I'm taking the Fins on this one. It's going to be close, though. This one's going to be a very good game. But Fins over the Falcons. Pats over the Jets. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Panthers over the G-Men. Daniel Jones and them, they not there yet. They got weapons, but it's not all there yet. It looks good, but it ain't there. Raiders over the Eagles. I'm sorry, y'all. As Jerome said, it is what it is. Raiders by 28. 28. Cards versus the Texans. Bucks. Cards over the Texans. Bucks over the Bears. 49ers over the Colts. I don't know why we keep sleeping on this 49ers team. Just because George Kittle is hurt does not mean they are not going to do anything. They are still the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan at the helm, and he's going to make that offense work. It is what it is. I don't know how he does it, but he does it every single time when he runs the ball. Saints over the Hawks. Easy. I'm sorry. Geno Smith, I like you, but I don't love you over Sean Payton and the crew. But the teams that I want to talk about, the Titans and the Chiefs. And here's why. First off, do we all know who was a Russian leader for the last 2 years here? Because we must have forgotten to say, nah, we're not going to stop him. Because clearly, there's no reason why he's still running people over and still running people out. Like he's done for years at this point. But he is on a tear. He has almost 200 to 300 more yards than the next closest person. And his yards after contact is still more than the next person closest to him. Mr. Derrick Henry in prime time.
It's a grown man.
Ridiculous. Grown man. The man is on pace for over 22,000 yards.
Someone explained to me
2,200.
2,200. I'm sorry, 2,200 yards and 28 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But he's now going against a defense that we all know is weak in the Chiefs. But what is Patrick Mahomes going to do? Because right now, do we recognize this Chiefs team, people? Or is this the defense just catching up and Patrick Mahomes is not as Patrick Mahomes?
We shall see
this year. He had tied already last week his interception total of all last year.
Those weren't his fault.
6 weeks.
Only 3 of those 9 picks were his fault. The rest are dropped catches.
Which means is that Chiefs team the same Chiefs team?
So who's your pick?
He's stirring the pot.
I'm going with the Titans. I'm going with the grown man. I love it. I love it. And can we all talk about real fast that Julio point? Oh, 1 second. Let me still catch that real fast. Let me still check that on the sideline. Tip it.
That was beautiful. Shades of old Julio.
Can we talk about it? Like,
listen, it was beautiful. Julio saying that he's still Julio. I like it.
Listen, that's how it is. Julio is still Julio, multi-talented with AJ Brown, man. Listen, I love it.
I like it. All right, so game picks for myself. I think the hardest, or if not the hardest, one of the hardest is to pick tonight's game with all the injuries on the Brown side, with the Broncos and their injuries, Bradley Chubb. And so I just listen, I don't know, but I have a feeling because Case Keenum is familiar with the Browns offense that he's going to be able to pull out a win against this Broncos team. So I'll go with the Brownies tonight. Washington versus the Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers. They look really good right now. They're just putting it all together. Chiefs versus the Titans. Another very tough game. I'm going to save that for my explanation. Falcons versus the Dolphins. I'm going to take my boys here. Falcons, let's do it. Jets versus the Patriots. I'm inclined to take the Jets here, but I'll go with the Patriots until they show me otherwise. Panthers versus the Giants. I'm going with the upset. I think the Giants get one here. Bengals versus the Ravens. The last 2 weeks I've picked against the Ravens. The last 2 weeks I've been wrong. I'm not doing it again. Ravens take the W in this game. Eagles versus the Raiders. Another tough game to pick. I'm going to give the Eagles the win here. Another upset. I think the Eagles, they go in and they figure it out. I think they go and get a win against the Raiders here. Lions versus the Rams. Texans versus the Cardinals. Bears versus the Bucks. Colts versus the 49ers. I'm going to go with the Colts. Saints versus the Seahawks. I'll take the Saints in that one. My explanation game, Chiefs versus the Titans. Darren brought up a very, very valid point as to Derrick Henry being a grown man. I want to give a shout out to Carlos Hyde for laying his life on the line and stopping Derrick Henry from having 4 rushing touchdowns in their last game against the Bills because
he was
going
Micah
crazy.
Hyde.
Micah Hyde, not Carlos Hyde. I want to give a shout out to him because he laid his life on the line for that. Because that is a grown man. He is on a tear right now. I mean, literally, MVP. The last 4 games have been ridiculous. He has more yards after contact than 25 teams have total rushing. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? That's something my pastor says. Shout out to my pastor, Darius. But listen, this guy's a grown man. However, 2 years ago, hey, what's up, Pop? 2 years ago, Derrick Henry was still this grown man. And what did Frank Clark say when they played him in the playoffs? Oh, we gonna hit him. And they did. And he did not even get 80 yards rushing. And this defense is starting to come together. They're actually being able to run the ball on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1. And Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. And a nail biter, Chiefs get the ball last, and they win the game. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. There it is, ladies and gents. I'm going to take the Chiefs in that game. All right, so you know what it is. It's time for Hot Take Thursday. It's about to go up. Listen, it's Thursday Night Football. We got a phenomenal game. I believe will happen tonight. These primetime games have been phenomenal this year. Shout out to whoever made these schedules because they have been great. Oh my goodness. Almost every outside of one, there have been all of these primetime games have been just phenomenal. It's been great football to watch. All right, I'm going to start with Juan. Give me your hot take.
My hot take. Damn. Okay. I'm gonna make it a bland take a little bit, but just because like I feel like I need it for my pride as a Jets fan, I'm gonna say that Zach Wilson does not throw a single interception against this Patriots defense. Not a single one.
The way we're playing, it's very possible. It's very possible.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah,
It's been a turnover machine so far this year, so I can see how it can be a little spicy there. All right, Darius, talk to me.
My hot take for today, for today's game, I'm doing it. Tonight's game, we saw it recently. Tonight's game is going to overtime. It's gonna go to overtime. It's gonna be one of those back and forth games, and the way the game is gonna end, Teddy Bridgewater down the sideline, deep ball to Noah Fant, touchdown. That's ball game. Cleveland loses. Denver wins. They get out of there with the win. Teddy Bridgewater throws for 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he throws the game-winning touchdown in overtime.
Another hashtag 350?
I didn't just
Oh,
so I
my
got
God.
Teddy two tugs? You know that Teddy Bridgewater has never scored more than 2 touchdowns in a game.
He's doing it. That's why it's a hot take.
Ever.
We might have a new hashtag 350, ladies and gentlemen. 350.
He's gotten close to 350, I believe.
Listen, man, I'm just saying, in their 3 losses, he's thrown 4 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He has not been holding on and carrying the ball and protecting the ball like we know Teddy Bridgewater to be. But I like it. That's why it's spicy. That's why it's hot take. And it's hot take Thursday, Darius.
Or contender, guys. This is contender or pretender.
We shall see. Darius, thank you for jumping on. We will see you next time. Darren, give us your hot takes.
All right, so we all know I'm gonna be a homer on this one because I don't have nothing too spicy. All the games, let's be honest, really are going to be what they are, especially the Rams and the Lions. 28 by 20, easy. Rams. Matthew Stafford got a couple touchdowns, but my real hot take is here we go, and hear me out. It's going to be a shootout. Our Ravens defense, they've been coming together very much so after that dominant thing against the Chargers. I don't know where it came from, but I loved it. But I do know this, that Joe Burrow-led offense is a problem. There will be 80 points scored in this game. 80 plus. Second,
80?
there will be 2 hashtag 350s on, one on each side. That's
Oh!
And number 3, both quarterbacks will throw 4 touchdowns. It will be about the defense that makes the play. And yes, my Ravens make the play. And it's not going to be a veteran. Oh, no. Don't think Marlon. Think the rookie that's been making plays all year. Dafe, sack, fumble, we get the ball back. Game.
Wow.
I had no idea. Not Darren. I had no idea you had a time.
Jerome? Hey, Jerome. You all right over there? You sick? Everything all right?
He got to be. It's okay.
You okay?
It's okay. Boss man.
Anything you need to talk about? Texans over the cards? You got something you need to tell us?
You know what?
Is somebody holding a gun to your head? Blink twice.
Before we end, I kind of want to end on a spicy note. Nothing football related, just like.
Hold on. Let me get my hot take in.
Okay.
And I'll let you get the closing remarks. Mine is semi-hot. The Washington football team sacks Aaron Rodgers 8 times. Packers still win, though. There it is.
I don't think the Washington football team has managed more than 10 sacks this season.
Hey, listen, that's why it's a hot take, baby. 8 of them things.
Well, I'll end it on this, and this goes to all the 76ers fans out there right now.
How you get 8 and still lose?
According to sources, belief by Sixers, Ben Simmons is faking injury and mental illness. He came in today and said he had back stiffness and mentally not ready to play. Mental illness is a serious issue, and the team is livid. Simmons went down that road. Then they plan to fine him every game he does not play.
With that being said, I will say the mental illness thing. I actually think that Ben is actually suffering from some type of mental illness, some type of mental block, whether it be depression or something. The faking the injury, we've seen it happen before. I don't like it and never do, but he wants to get out of there. Hopefully, though, whatever he is dealing with mentally, he can get over and he can overcome. Sixers fans, you still got Joel Embiid. You got to win opening night. You guys look like, you can still make some noise in the East, so don't hold your heads too low. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. This has been the Air It Out podcast. Shout out to everybody who's jumped into the comment section. Chris Thomas, my mother, and my father. Shout out to you guys and everybody else who are watching and has watched. Please do not forget to like and share this video. Watch the replay on YouTube if you feel inclined to do so. And while you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And while you're doing that, you should also hit the notification button so you know when we go live. That way you can get your comments in here on the podcast. We love to interact with you guys. And don't forget to follow us on all your social media. That is Twitter, Inside Hashes, Instagram, Inside the Hashes, Facebook, Inside the Hashes. And we got a Pro Football Talk page on Facebook as well if you want to just chat it up with our guys. And last but not least, you know what it is. Check out the website, www.insidethehashes.com. As Juan alluded to earlier, you can go check out interviews from players like Noah Fant, Dawson Knox, 2 guys who are having phenomenal years right now. Go check them out, as well as the blogs and the podcast and the gaming and the fantasy football. We do it all. Check it out. We love each and every one of you. For everybody in the chat and these wonderful panelists, Jerome Jones in the background, Juan and Coach Braxton, I'm Avery Collins. This is the Air It Out podcast. Over and out, Matt Ryan for president. Stop clapping the football. We can see it coming, Matt Ryan.
Bucks beating Heat.